Never been able to do it perfect, but the raisins cooked in nicely.
Raisins.
I know. But it's for a sweet new year. So hush.
Blessed are you, Lord our God, King of the universe, who has kept us alive, sustained us, and brought us through this holiday season.
So that was the Shehekianu.
Shehekianu.
So yeah, they are celebrating doing some of the traditional blessings, well, that people in the Jewish community will pray today. So they're kind of trying to bring that, Jewish culture alive here and seeing that this is, well, I guess a celebration of the new year. So.
Right. I do love that prayer. It says that he who sustains us and has brought us to this time. It's like he's the one that's the sustainer. He's the one that brings us from day to day. He's our daily bread.
That's right.
So, yeah, I love that. That's a beautiful prayer.
I never imagined Yeshua, like, eating the round challah.
Yeah.
Which is like the crown as the king.
Right.
Like the king actually, that's kind of fun.
Yeah, it is. Partaking of the crown.
So no James and Jude?
Well, they felt it was best to celebrate in Sepphoris while you were here. Just to avoid conflict.
I understand.
I think it's just hard on them. Especially with so many people here. Excited to see you. Everyone's been hearing about what you've been doing. The signs and wonders. And you know how the boys feel about all that.
I understand.
Just showing that his mother knows who he is.
His brothers weren't there.
That his brothers are in Sepphoris, which is like the big city a few miles down the road from Nazareth, and that they're not
real happy.
They're not buying it.
Right.
And so
there's some familial tension.
Right. I mean, we obviously know that shifts.
Right.
But yeah, it does seem like they don't trust and believe who he is at first. So yeah, it's a lot of backstory here.
Cain, Abel.
What? Cain and Abel, huh? That's funny.
Sheep, Cain, and Abel.
Why not?
Yeah, right.
Shouldn't it be just Abel?
Maybe one's more aggressive.
Oh, wow. Oh, man. But they would have animals, like, as a part of their home. So that's an accurate portrayal there,
Yeah.
So, which is even why it's possible, like, where Yeshua's born, right, is like a part of the home, like attached to it, or it could be a cave as well, but like the animals would be connected to the residential because you wouldn't want to leave them out at night. That would be dangerous.
A bridle? What's the bridle for, Tom?
I've got no idea.
No?
I mean,
I've got a pretty good guess.
I know he likes white horses. But what's your guess?
I think it's for the colt.
Coming in Jerusalem?
That's my guess.
Could be.
Could be.
Yeah.
Could not be.
Yeah. It's true that some people can blow the shofar better than others. Sam, why don't you just go ahead and toot your own horn?
Toot my own shofar. I'm not trying to do it bad.
You know what that reminds me of? Like, make a joyful noise. Like,
don't make a really eloquent noise.
Doesn't mean everybody can sing. Just make a noise to the Lord.
Don't make a skillful noise. That's so tiny.
Here.
Oh, nice.
It's my shofar.
He's blown it before.
Home field advantage.
You know, I don't know the last time I celebrated the New Year in Nazareth.
40 years.
Who's keeping track?
We might be poor, but we celebrate better than those other towns you've been in.
Deny it. It's good to be home.
So I can already hear the comments section on our channel.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
The New Year, how since it doesn't actually say New Year at Rosh Hashanah, like so there are many New Year celebrations within Jewish tradition. So you have the time of Passover, you have like the calendar New Year, the first of the month on the calendar. So then this is actually the first day of the 7th month, but it's an agricultural New Year. And then in Jewish tradition, this is celebrating the birth of humanity, the birth of Adam and creation, going back, basically 6,000 years. So this is the celebration of that. There's many things it's celebrating here.
Right.
And then we know, of course, that it's all about the blowing of the shofar, right? It's this day of blasting.
Yeah.
Teruah, Yom Teruah means the day of blasting. And so it's foreshadowing and even prophesying, you could say, these last trumpets in the book of Revelation.
Right.
So
when Yeshua's returning. Yeah.
It's all about, the fall feasts are all about the return of the Lord.
Right.
So it's fun to enter into that reality.
Sure. Yeah, we actually did a couple videos on Rosh Hashanah specifically. And so click on those if you want to go deeper and learn more about the end times and Yeshua's return and shofars. And
we get into the end time mysteries that are revealed specifically in Yom Teruah, Rosh Hashanah.
It's a lot of fun.
Oh, I was wondering when this was coming.
It's Laz.
Oh, shalom. Shalom, Nazareth. Mary, Martha, good to see you. It's been a while. Shalom.
Years ago, I tried to get them to join me in the business in Bethany. Turned me down. Just wanted to be a craftsman. Well, first wanted to be a craftsman, and then a rabbi.
He didn't need me, obviously, so.
But we would have had so much fun.
True.
I'll give you credit, though. You never wavered. You did what you set out to do. And being a rabbi like you are, with the lack of schooling you got, amazing.
So are you really doing miracles? Mary did everything. Just ask.
Forgive Mary for being Mary. But as is her custom, she puts into words what we are only thinking. Is what we're hearing true?
Bethany is a long way from Nazareth. So I am wondering we know that he cared for Lazarus.
Right.
And obviously, but
deeply.
Yeah, we don't have a lot of the story of how he would have known Laz.
I don't know if I can do it.
Because Bethany is like basically the Mount of Olives.
Right by Jerusalem. Right.
It is Jerusalem.
Yeah. Okay.
Essentially. I mean, it's like across the valley from the Temple Mount. So it's several days walk to Nazareth. So I don't know how he knew him, but somehow they knew each other.
Right.
So, and they're in town, which would be a big deal. That's a long journey to come up and celebrate the New Year. So,
yeah, I'm interested to see how they develop Mary and Martha a little bit too. So, you're already seeing. I mean, Mary comes with a reputation, and so you're already kind of seeing this inkling of her like just wanting to hear about, learn from, be with Jesus.
If you enjoyed our Messianic reaction videos and you want to go deeper in your understanding of God and the Bible, you can take our upcoming course at Grafted U, an introduction to a biblical Messianic worldview. And we're offering you a special 20% discount right now. So if you want to find out more information and you want to register for the course, check out the link in the description below.
Ah.
This is a good depiction of a first century
For sure.
synagogue. This actually looks a
good
lot
shot, too.
like the synagogue. There's a recreated synagogue in Nazareth,
Village.
at Nazareth Village.
Yeah.
This looks a
It looks
lot
a lot
like
like
that. The size, the structure, and I know that
Yeah.
many archaeologists will say that that synagogue is the most accurate
Yeah.
recreation that we have, and so I think this looks
It's a
pretty
good shot.
good.
Like
yeah.
this radio is a good shot. You're facing the door. I took a picture facing this way
Right.
out the doors at Nazareth Village,
Right.
and it looks
a lot like
a
that.
lot like this.
Yeah, so it's a good feel for how this scene in Luke chapter 4
Yeah.
would have felt, I think. So.
Yeah.
On mercy, bestow on us a prosperous year, a bountiful harvest, and the promised arrival of Mashiach, your anointed one, the son of David.
It was also interesting, he was talking about this prayer for the Messiah to come, the irony, right?
Right,
He's
right.
like, he's in the room. He's right there. You know.
Did you know?
Right.
But it goes back to expectation.
Right.
Like we've talked about it a lot as we've watched The Chosen and reacted to it. It's like what people's expectations were versus what they're experiencing.
Yeah.
Right. And so wanting and desiring this warrior Messiah to come in and overthrow Rome, and it goes a little bit differently.
The Spirit of the Lord God is upon me, because the Lord has anointed me to bring good news to the poor. He has sent me to heal the brokenhearted, to proclaim liberty to the captives, and recovery of sight to the blind, to the opening of the prison for those who are bound, to proclaim the year of the Lord's favor.
This is one of my favorite passages in the whole Bible.
Yeah.
It's Isaiah 61, and
Right.
then it happens in Luke 4, and so I mean, this is like, I am salvation.
Yep.
I am the freedom, the healing, the deliverance, the setting the captives free. I mean, this is
Right.
this identification with everything that is good about God, and the Spirit of the Sovereign Lord is upon me. And
Right.
This is.
I mean, the one thing that they're highlighting too here that I like, which I don't know if The Chosen's got a little bit of flack for this yet or not, but he's saying like, I am the way, the truth, the life. Like he's saying like, I am salvation, and he's like, so they are highlighting his divinity. They're highlighting the fact that there's only one way, right, to God, and so he's even saying that to the people in this room. He's like, just because you're sons of Israel, sons of Abraham, it's like, doesn't you have to go through me, right? And so that's extremely important to the gospel. Yeah. It's central to the gospel. Like you want to go to the Father, you have to go through Yeshua.
Right.
And so they're taking some time to highlight that right here.
Well, yeah, it's the word's getting out now. You
Yep.
know, it's like now he's like, all right, I'm letting the cat out of the bag,
Yep.
if you will. You
Yep.
know, he's
Yep.
letting the bridle out of the box, if you will. That's what they used to say.
Well,
That's an old Jewish.
I get it. Oh, that's okay. Now I get it.
It's not actually.
Not bad for a carpenter's son, yes?
I mean, especially Joseph. May he rest in peace.
Jesus, please explain why you stopped the reading before Isaiah spoke of the day of vengeance of our God, especially during a time of such oppression.
That's a really great point. I was going to bring that up. He actually stops right before it says. I mean, he stops kind of in the middle, really. It's the very next verse. It says, "And the day of our God's vengeance." So we have this, presentation or reading here that he's essentially the Lamb who's come to proclaim liberty and set the captives free and healing and restoration. But then I see it as this lion and lamb separation, where then it's not quite time for the vengeance, meaning the return of the Lord when he's bringing justice and righteousness and judgment to the earth.
Yeah. And it's interesting that they're pulling this on Rosh Hashanah. Like the Chosen's deciding to let him, portray or say these things on Rosh Hashanah.
Right.
So they're kind of bringing in this coming of the king, announcing Jubilee, like what you were saying.
They're kind of building it up even more because it does say it's on Shabbat in Luke 4. But it doesn't say it's on Rosh Hashanah.
Right.
But either way, I mean, it is fun that they're bringing in one of the holidays just to kind of give you a feel for
sure.
The celebratory reality. And it's all about the king.
Exactly.
So that's probably why they're doing it, right? And the beauty of that this is actually all about...
Right.
They're all blowing the shofar, right? And here's
the king.
Mashiach,
No prophet is acceptable in his hometown.
Be careful with what you call yourself.
This should be easy to prove. Dinah and Rafi, you say you saw it, yes?
Yes. Yes, we saw it, but he did not claim
The
this.
true prophet from Adonai would not deny his own people's signs and wonders.
Listen carefully. When a great famine hit Israel during the days of Elijah, 3 years and 6 months, there were many widows, yes? And we know how the Father cares for his chosen people, especially widows. But Elijah was sent to none of them, not a one. Instead, he was sent to a widow in Sidon, in Zarephath, a Gentile woman.
I like this scene. There's like no music.
Yeah, it's quiet.
Right?
They're doing that on purpose.
It's like thick and awkward and like, I don't know. And he's sitting down. I like that he's seated still. Like, So this is a great scene.
What about Elisha and Naaman? There were many lepers in Israel during this time. None of them were cleansed, except Naaman. Only a Gentile, a Syrian soldier, an enemy of the Lord's people. But he was so desperate, he trusted Elisha, and his leprosy was cleansed. You may be the chosen seed of Abraham. You may be the people of the covenants, but that will not bring you my salvation.
One of the things I was thinking is how, so the story here, he's talking about Gentiles.
Yeah.
That he's, even historically, the Lord touching the nations. And even that is a little bit offensive here.
Right.
And it's actually not recorded in Scripture of the healing of leprosy or tsaorat in Hebrew. So by of a Jewish person. So Naaman's
I didn't know that.
Naaman is Gentile, right? This warrior.
Yep.
And he gets healed. So then there was this first century Messianic expectation that the Messiah would heal someone with leprosy who was Jewish.
Wow.
So there is this building this expectation.
Wow.
Now there is rumors he's already done this too. So there's more going on there on this claim, but clearly the issue is this, what we're going to have is this claim of divinity, right? That he is not only the Messiah, but that he is God. Right. And that's this tension's building toward that.
If you cannot accept that you are spiritually poor and captive in the same way that a Gentile woman and a Syrian leper recognize their need,
the different faces.
If you do not realize that you need a year of the Lord's favor, then I cannot save you.
So, I mean, this is a big part of Yeshua's teachings in all the Gospels, right? Is that you need to be born again. I mean, think of the scene.
No matter who you are.
Nicodemus, right? So there was this understanding in the first century that, hey, Abraham's my father. We're Jewish.
Good to go.
So we're good for our eternal destiny, if you will. And this is what he's trying to highlight here is that, look, just because Abraham's your father doesn't mean you don't need to be saved or born again and have this new heart. And so
and the recognition of your depravity, your need for salvation, which is one thing when you're confronted with holy. Right? When you're confronted with holiness, if you don't recognize the dirty, like Isaiah 6, you know, it's like, you think about it, like he gets into this throne room scene and he's a prophet, right? But then he's like, woe to me, I'm a man of unclean lips, right? And I'm in need of redemption, you know what I mean? And so it's like that's what he's saying too. It's like, if you don't understand that you need this, there's a problem.
And he's saying, and this is offensive for them because he's saying, even these Gentiles recognized it. This Shunammite woman, this Syrian pagan, they recognized that they needed God, and he's alluding to a little bit that they needed me almost, but we're getting there, I think, you know.
Jesus, if you do not renounce your words, we will have no choice but to follow the law of Moses.
I am the law of Moses.
So just to speak to this, I am the law of Moses, because so many people are up in arms about this. But so, I mean, first of all, he's saying he's not speaking English. meaning law here is the Torah. It's this, and Torah means really instruction or even revelation. I mean, he's saying he is the one, he's identifying himself with God's instructions to Israel. And in the first century, there are all these different opinions among different rabbinic circles and even Sadducean circles and Herodian circles and Zealot circles on how to live out the Torah of Moses, how to follow God's instructions correctly. So that's this there's a lot of different things happening here, right? But this is how to live. It's this question of how should we live. And he's weighing in and saying, I am that revelation. So he's really taking it to the next level, because if you don't believe and follow him, he's saying you're actually rejecting Moses. I mean, that's the tension, right? He's identifying himself with. So there's several questions you could ask. Like, could he say that? And then maybe, should he say that? Or would he have said that? Is that something he really would have said? And I would say, contextually in the first century, could he have said that? Absolutely. Absolutely. You read, other Jewish writings. You read Philo. You read Josephus. You read even earlier Jewish texts. And they had this identification of the Torah. It would even be personified. Like it was like the central understanding and belief of the Jewish people. And think of Proverbs even, where wisdom is personified.
Wisdom's calling out, right?
She's calling out. Well, they had a similar thing with the Torah. And wisdom and Torah in Jewish thought in the first century, there's this overlap. Like they don't really delineate between them, you know? And then, of course, John 1 is the Logos, the Word becomes flesh. And Logos also is in extra biblical Jewish texts. And really, Logos, you could say, is a combo of wisdom and Torah in some sense. And John's like beautifully presenting Logos in a Jewish context where like Logos is divine and yet distinct from the Father. So he's using this amazing language
and from page 1. And right away.
Jesus Bar Joseph, because you have repeatedly prophesied falsely and have offered no denial or renouncement of your blasphemous claims, there is no need to escalate this to the authorities.
Deuteronomy 18 verse 18 shows this tension. It says, I will raise up a prophet like you for them from among their brothers. I will put my words in his mouth, and he will speak to them all that I command him. Now whoever does not listen to my words that this prophet speaks in my name, I myself will call him to account. So Yeshua's claiming to be this greater prophet than Moses.
Right.
And he says, and if you don't listen to this prophet, this is what Moses is saying, then God will call you to account. Actually, the Lord is saying that here. So he's claiming to be that, and they're saying, no, you're a false prophet. And so anybody who speaks in his name and it's not God should be put to death. So they'll talk about attention. This is like straight biblical Deuteronomy 18 tension.
Wow.
This isn't going to happen.
Not today.
Not today.
So they're all looking forward still.
Ooh, man.
Didn't nobody turned around like as he walked? It was like they didn't even like.
Right. Because I mean, the text says like he walked through the crowd and just slipped through their hands.
So I imagined it more as a mob,
right?
Not such a calm, pronouncement. And I think one of the reasons is because, remember, the Jewish authorities did not have the ability to kill people. They didn't have the authority to do that. So remember with the trial of Yeshua, the Romans could kill people, but they didn't technically have the authority to do this. So my assumption would be that they would get in big trouble if they took the quote law into their own hands when it came to capital punishment. So. But mob's a whole different story.
Right.
So that's why I've always envisioned this more as, this mob reality.
Right.
But regardless, I do like the way they did it was just like this cool. Frozen, like, not today. And then they just walked through them all.
You need to learn how to do this well, huh? The men in our family can strike a nail through in one swing. Maybe two, huh? I will allow you 2 swings on your first try. Now, you won't always be doing carpentry like me. You will be a craftsman of stone and other materials, not just wood.
Why, Abba?
Because there's not much wood around here. This is a place of rock and stone.
It's true.
Right.
I picked the wrong business, eh?
That's really funny.
They're funny. They're playing really on the tension, tecton and Greek.
Yeah.
It means it can be translated as carpenter, but stonemason also. So they're
and this the history of Yeshua being a carpenter. Right. Everyone knows he's a Jewish carpenter. Right.
Yeah. But it's actually both.
Right. That's really funny.
And you would have to use both when you would build homes and structures, and so that's fun.
A lot of stone, not much wood.
And that is very much how Israel is. Jerusalem stone. It's
so romantic.
So romantic until you live there.
The men in our family have handed this down to each other for 40 generations as a remembrance of our bondage. But more importantly, Jesus, in remembrance of being led to freedom into the promised land. It's old, and it's not beautiful. But my father handed it to me to own, as I am handing it to you. He always joked, who knows, maybe one of us will need it one day. I do not suppose you will bear a son. So, maybe it will end its journey with you. But I cannot leave this earth without passing it on.
This reminds me of that passage where it says, and he grew with wisdom and stature and favor with God and men.
Yeah.
Where he's just
it's a beautiful passage.
Growing, and we don't know a lot about that time in his life.
Yeah.
But what would that have been like to raise the Son of God?
Can you imagine? Can't even fathom that.
Right. And it would be this privilege and honor, and so But it's neat how they're connecting it with the generations where, Yeshua didn't just arrive out of nowhere. Like there was this long history of Israel and the Jewish people, and he came into the Jewish family. He came into the generations. He's the son of David.
Yep.
And that was, David lived 1,000 years before Yeshua.
Right.
And the Exodus is like 1,400 years before Yeshua. So, I mean, this is something where God had been orchestrating this and for generations upon generations, and then finally it says in the fullness of time that he is born of a woman.
Right. It makes me think of my small group just got done. We're just finishing reading "Your People Shall Be My People" by Don Fento, and one of the testimonies in the book is of a Jewish man, and they were reading the book of Matthew for the first time, and they read through the genealogy, and they go, "My goodness, Jesus is Jewish." Right? And it was like, and it clicked for them.
Son of Abraham, son of David.
So it's this powerful thing that he was, covenantally faithful. Yeah. God was covenantally faithful to his people and brought the Messiah from the Jewish people, right? In time and place in history, it's like, so what you're saying is totally important and super accurate, so it's like, this is big deal stuff. Yeah. And then what would it be like to interact with him as a boy? Who knows, man? It would be so wild.
I was remembering when he gave this to me.
Confirmed.
I remember.
There's no turning back now. Not after today.
I know.
What is the bridal for?
You'll know soon enough.
So I kept thinking this was gonna be the episode where we see Lazarus resurrected.
Oh, you did?
I was like, man, we got a long way to go.
I wasn't thinking that at all.
Oh, you were? I'm like, is it gonna end? He hasn't even died yet.
I think that's gonna be a little ways down the road.
This is setting up the relationship so that he'll be sad when he dies.
Right.
Yeah, that's good. They're trying to bring you into the humanity of it always, and so they're trying to get us to know Lazarus.
Right. I find it interesting that this episode was all about Yeshua.
Right.
We didn't even see the disciples in this one.
Oh, you're right.
And so it was really focused on his, upbringing a little bit, but then, like this local kind of reality of like people wrestling with who this guy was and now who he's claiming to be, and then it comes to kind of this head, but they're to me it looks like they're going after, like, he is claiming to be, the son of David, son of God, son of, the Messiah, the one that proclaims the year of the Lord's favor, so this divine Mashiach.
If you like our videos, please help us spread a biblical Messianic worldview by donating to Grafted.
Praying at the dinner table. Do you pray to him?
He potty trained himself. Let's try it. Let's get it.
Let's get it. Ja!